have such sights to show you.
You're all going to die tonight.
Good evening, my sweet tortured souls, and welcome back to another fun-filled episode of Miss Violet's Underworld, Deeper and Darker. This week, we're talking all things hairy and scary. We're staying off the moors because there's a bad moon arising. We are, of course, talking our top 4 werewolf movies. Joining me, as always, my ever present mouth of the South, West Derbyshire, the speaker himself, Jimmy Clifford. How you doing, honey?
I'm all right. Still figuring out how to get out.
Oh, once you get in, you can never get out. It's in the fine print. Didn't you read the
Oh,
contract?
I didn't read that fine print. I should have read the fine print.
Yes, we have your soul in a perpetuity clause. So even if you die, you're still here.
I did wonder why the contract needed to be written in blood.
Yes, well, all the best ones are. All the best ones are. But for the first time in this show, if you listen closely, you can hear the screams of my sweet tortured souls coming from the comments section. Up first, we have the Calico Crichton, the son of the Pertwee, the rootin' tootin' shootin' outlaw cowboy himself, the gap-toothed Tony Harris, over from the Retro Movie Zone. And he says, great first episode, guys. Have only seen the original, Night and Dawn, so I have loads of catching up to do. You most certainly do, Tony. There's more on that magical unicorn's dick wish list of yours. Watch list, not wish list. Watch list. Sorry.
Watch list. Watch list.
That's right. I lost where I was. Thanks to watching this first outing for Miss Violet's Underworld, I now want to watch all the remaining Dead films in order. Not sure about the Day of the Dead remake, though. Skip it. Skip it, Tony. That is my advice. Do not watch the Day of the Dead remake. It is not worth it. The next commenter goes on to elaborate on that one. Jury's out on whether you sold me on that one or not. Guess being a completist like yourself, I should make the effort. Really enjoyed this episode and looking forward to the next one. Should be a real hoot, or should I say howl?
Yeah, how?
But thank you for the love, as always, Tony. We much love and appreciation for you over here at Calico, even though Callie and Guy are no longer around. More on that later in the year.
What more on that later? Maybe.
Next, taking the top comment of the week, purely for its length and its girth, and yes, that is a joke. It is the man, the myth, the beard himself, Agent JK-47, the Ginger Ninja JK. And he goes on to say, welcome back, Miss Violet and Jimmy. It's good to be back, honey. It's good to be back.
Despite the contract terms and the fine print, it's enjoyable thus far.
All right, sit back and get comfy. This is going to be a long one. And he wasn't wrong. This comment is lengthy and girthy. How I like them. Night of the Living Dead, absolute classic. I was introduced to this with a colorized version. Yes, I showed Jimmy the colorized version of Night of the Living Dead. And as soon as he saw Ben, he was just like, nope, turn it off.
No. It's a black and white. I'm sorry, that's a black and white film, that one.
It really is, isn't it? Like from the first moment it started, after watching the black and white version, watching the colorized version, something just feels off.
Yeah, straight away with it. Not to try and spoil the intro, the car, it looks like it's from the Dukes of Bloody Hazzard.
Yeah, that was my first thought. Like, is that General Lee?
Yeah. But have they got a replica of that?
Is this a deleted episode of the Dukes of Hazzard? Like I said, that just from the very get-go, there's something off about it. You can't quite put your finger on it, but there's just
it is something I may decide to watch just to see the
Curiosity, I would
out of curiosity, somewhat similar to the Day of the Dead remake, more of a morbid curiosity
yeah.
than a yeah.
But back
It's
to
one
the
of
comment section, oddly enough, but going back and watching the original in black and white is it's still a great film. It bloody well is.
oh, very much so.
Is it my favorite? No, but is it a damn good start to the franchise? But it's a damn good start to the franchise. Yes, it fucking well is. Dawn of the Dead. This is the one that I wasn't able to rent out as my local store didn't have it. I had to order it and purchase it on VHS, and this bit made me really, really jealous. Which I still have to this day, and I love it. I watched it and rewatched the head exploding so many times. I almost wore the tape out. I am so jealous that you actually have an original copy.
I bet that's a good watch on that.
Oh, 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 oh. Anyway, moving on. Day of the Dead. Did you know that Greg Nicotero is in that film? He is one of the soldiers. Yes, he's the one who gets bitten on the neck, shoots himself, and then later on his head is severed from his body in Dr. Frankenstein's lab. Yes, I didn't point that bit of trivia out in the episode. I should have. I completely forgot.
It's fine.
Things
do slip through the
To
net.
be fair, though, in last week's episode, our first episode, we
there
had
was a lot.
nine films we had to get through. So we were a little bit rushed on that one. On tonight's episode, it's going to be a little bit more open.
Yeah, hopefully.
Anyway, back to the comment section. This is probably my favorite now. It's definitely aged the best out of the original three. Yes, in terms of special effects, I will say that.
Yeah.
That when you go back and watch those original three, and even Jimmy sort of touched upon this in the episode, when you get to that third one, everything is all of a sudden much more realistic. Everything's much more detailed and more like believable. Like the zombies look more rotted.
It's a proper zombie film because there's a lot of them.
Yeah,
all of a sudden.
The eyes are sunken in and they look more rotted.
Yeah.
They look what you think of when you think of zombie.
Yeah.
That's what. By the third one, you're at that point, and it's like this is. Yeah, so I kind of get it from a special effects standpoint. The third one for me is, like you said, it's aged the best, and I agree with that.
Some of the attitudes, maybe not so much.
But carrying on with this comment, because like I said, it's a long one. Land of the Dead. I was super excited when I heard about this, and was not disappointed. I saw this in the cinema. I unfortunately missed it. Oh, wait, where was I? I saw the cinema in the cinema, and now will happily chuck it on and watch it anytime. Plus, it gets points for the stunning Ozzy Argento and Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright having cameos. Yes, I told Jimmy about that. That Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright basically got invited by George to come over and cameo as zombies in Land of the Dead because he was a fan of Shaun of the Dead. So that to me was just like one of those perfect.
Oddly enough, Shaun being one of my entries into the zombie sort of stuff. It's one of the ones I've watched.
Yes, which is not quite a zombie movie, but it's got zombie.
Yeah,
so.
I think that was why I watched that originally. It wasn't a total zombie film, but now, yeah, I get behind the zombie films a bit more.
Carrying on. Diary of the Dead. I really enjoyed this one. It's a fresh and interesting take on the Dead series. Some great scenes and characters, and a refreshing one. Like I said, if you like found footage films, you'll like it. Personally, myself, I'm not a huge fan of them, and I only really watched it because it's a George Romero Dead movie. The found footage thing for me, I can take it or leave it. I would have preferred it if it was more of a traditionally shot, traditionally done zombie movie like he was, famous for doing. But kudos for George for trying something new.
Yeah.
Did it work for me personally? Not 100%. I still like the film, but like I said in the previous episode, for me, it feels like Land of the Dead, Survival of the Dead, and Diary of the Dead are part of like a new trilogy rather than a continuation of the old trilogy.
But for me, I think it was a case of because I obviously had to watch 9 films in quite a length, and I watched them slightly out of sequence. I'd watched some of the remakes first
Yeah.
and watched Land of the Dead first rather than watching that one. I think because I'd watched the previous bundle and they're higher, there's a lot more going on, and then this one, there's a lot less going on. So it's a case of this one. I'll probably get back around to rewatch it, maybe try and get a bit more of a fresh perspective. So maybe it holds up on future watches.
And now up on this part, now the remake.
Yeah.
Night of the. Oh no, sorry, I skipped Survival of the Dead, which I think he did as well.
Oh, we skipped. We both skipped.
This is my least favorite. I just didn't get into it. I have it on Blu-ray, and it's one I should definitely watch again. I think you should give it another try because, like you, I was not blown away by it on the first viewing. But after watching it 2 or 3 times and kind of getting the more subtleties in the stuff that's going on around within the story, there's a little bit more depth to it than what you initially think. So it is worth. I mean, I prefer this one to Diary. So, user's preference, player's choice. If you prefer Diary over Survival, that's fine. But definitely, JK, give it another try. Right, now, onto the remakes.
Yeah.
Night of the Living Dead 1990. I freaking love Night of the Living Dead 1990. This takes everything about the original and just amped up. The effects, the glassy-eyed ghouls, Tony Todd, Patricia Tallman, Bill Moseley, it all works. And yeah, we pretty much echoed that sentiment in the episode that for me, and I've said this countless times whenever recommending the film to anyone who's never watched it, if you've seen the original and you've not seen the remake, it just takes the core ideas set up in the original and just modernizes it. It updates it to a more contemporary time period.
And it does give you a couple of tweaks, just some minor ones.
Yeah, but it just takes everything. It, like we said, it spinal taps it. It takes everything great and just turns it up to 11 and leaves it there for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
it's the original on steroids.
I think if I'm getting DVDs, the original trilogy and the 2 remakes are probably something I will look into getting a hold of.
Up next, Dawn of the Dead 2004. Okay, this is my favorite movie ever. No joke. This is just a pulse-pounding, bloody, brutal, and exciting film. Jimmy, do you want to comment on the remake of Dawn of the Dead? Because as we said in the episode, you were warned.
No, seriously, that was as daft. I think I put it well last week. That is everything I generally fear from a zombie flick. That is exactly probably the reason why I didn't watch as many. And as daft as it is, like I've just said, I would like a copy of that for a rewatch because I'm sure I'm going to find more in there. And it's how quickly civilization crumbles.
Society collapses in on itself like a flan in a cupboard.
Yeah. That again, I thought the 1990s remake of Living, that like we said, that ramps it up. That first scene, the break, that's the Dawn of the Dead. It's like it takes the remake and go, how can we outdo the remake of that as well? And it does it. That's why I want that one.
Continuing on with the comments, told you this is a long one for JK, and I love it. I love it. I really do.
I like a long comment.
Day of the Dead. Fuck this film. No uncertainty. Fuck this film. That's it. What the fuck? A zombie skittering on the ceiling. I noped out of that movie right then. A steaming pile of shit. There is also Day of the Dead 2, Contagion, and Day of the Dead Bloodlines. And they are trash. Sorry for the
Everything not to do.
sorry for the long post, but this is my jam. I love the majority of the Dead films. Watched all of them multiple times. Same. Survival and Dead remake. I have only watched twice. Great discussion and video. Take care. Mwah. Thank you very much, JK. But
Thank you.
yeah, we kind of echo a lot of those sentiments there with. I mean, we're kind of on the same wavelength when it comes to these films anyway, JK. We've talked about this before in other places that Night of the Living Dead 1990, Chef's Kiss, perfect remake. That's how you do a remake.
That's how you do
You
it.
know? You know? But right then, moving on into tonight's subject, we're talking about that wonderful topic that comes from the wonderful world of folklore. We are talking, of course, lycanthropy, better commonly more known to you and I and everyone else who isn't in the know, werewolves. Ooh, you turn
I
into
used to
a
be a
wolf.
werewolf, but I'm all right now.
Oh, God, here we go.
Yeah, it was coming in. You knew that was happening.
But yes, as the story goes for most of these kind of films, you get bitten, scratched, you become a werewolf. 3 days out of the month, you grow fangs and ears and become rather dog-like. And then the rest of the month, you're fine. Apparently.
Unlike a reverse werewolf.
Yeah, where it's a wolf that randomly turns into a human and then wakes up 3 days later wearing a loosely fitting suit.
Wondering why he's in a job.
Yes, we have picked 4 films that we watched. I mean, we would have said I'd round it out to 5, but it was like, no, these 4 are pretty long, so 4 films it is. And I think that's going to be kind of our rule going forward, the rule of 4 going forward for us, because it's 4 films. We do it week by week.
Yeah.
It's what we can fit in. But up first, we're going to go with the most recent. The dates on these films, this one is the most recent. We're going to go first with Dog Soldiers.
Ah.
It was first released on the 11th of May, 2002. It had a budget of 2.3 million and its box office was 5 million. So, in terms of box office, not a flop, but not successful enough to warrant a sequel, although the director has tried to get a sequel off the ground many times. And setting up the premise of this story, a bunch of squaddies, British soldiers, go out to the Scottish Highlands for a training exercise.
Might be the Welsh.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Welsh Highlands. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry to correct you on your trivia.
Sorry, but yeah, it's meant to be
I
Scotland.
was taking notes. I'm sorry. It's the Welsh.
It's meant to be Scotland, but it was
Thanks,
filmed in
Tony.
Wales. It was meant to be Scotland, but it was filmed in Wales.
There you go.
Right, so it's meant to be Scotland. But as the film progresses, they run across another team who shouldn't be there, who've been attacked, and they're all cut up and slashed up. There's one survivor. And it then turns into a siege movie with the soldiers inside and werewolves trying to get them. So it becomes soldiers versus werewolves. And it is bloody, brutal, gory, and has so much dark humor dripping off of it, you could probably dip a candy apple in it, give it a lick, and become the next Hitler.
Yeah. Potentially.
So, I have seen this film multiple times over the years. So, Jimmy, first time viewing for you.
It is a first time viewing.
Never
All
seen
of these films
so,
are first time viewing for me.
A film that is 23 years old. What did you think watching it for the first time in 2025?
I'll start with like we discussed a little bit off camera. This one actually fills into the number 4 of the pack for the night.
For you,
so
okay.
For me, my personal opinion, it's definitely a good film though. None of these films are like I would rewatch all of these films that we're going to discuss.
Yeah.
This one just it just fell into the 4th slot for me on this one. It's a very good film. It's very well made. It starts off very quickly. That first scene very much starts off, and I'd say you kind of know you were watching some kind of monster film.
Yes.
From the first scene. You just don't know which one you're dealing with. and from there, it's like it's a good film. It's got some CGI in this one. Practical effects. The practical effects were good. There's some blink and miss it CGI, so the CGI is generally good. It's a little janky for me.
Well,
There's a couple of scenes,
it is 2002.
and it is 2002. And doing a remake for this, as you've said with the off-screen trivia, it's going to be impossible because all the actors. I mean, you've got Davos Seaworthy. I don't know the actor's name, but he plays Davos Seaworthy out of Game of Thrones in this.
Yes.
And you've got what's his name? Squad leader.
Oh, Tony's brother.
You've actually got Tony's brother.
Tony's brother.
Tony's bro. He's in this.
Yeah, Sean Pertwee.
Sean Pertwee is in this. So yeah,
Yes.
it's a good film. It does deliver a couple of, like you said, some geeky references that you might not get on the first time round unless you've got somebody pointing them out for you, Violet.
Yes.
There are a couple of there for other films that maybe not related. Definitely, there's a to another film we will discuss later. There's definitely a reference to a film we'll discuss later.
Yes.
And it does deliver one of the best one-liners after an interesting scene.
The shit, you wimp.
Yeah, that particular scene, without spoiling it.
Oh yeah, that's
right?
me. As in,
what is the least likely, or the one thing you don't want to do with a lycanthrope?
Well, I mean, this is the thing that got me about that scene from the first moment I saw it. It's like it's the most implausible, impractical way to take one of these things on. But at the end of the day, if you're gonna go out fucking swinging and spooning. God bless him. He does. He does.
Yeah, that would be the comment. There's a scene in this that's very implausible. It deals with hand-to-hand combat against a werewolf. But I've not seen that in a film at all.
Exactly.
Right? Until this one. And honestly, it's still entertaining as all hell.
It is funny.
It is funny. He literally uses Chuck Norris rules. I am going to kill you with everything in the room, including the room itself.
The bit when he starts when he's hitting it with a frying pan and he sounds like Bruce. He's there like,
yeah, he's like literally he's Bruce Lee in the thing in this. It's a very, very good scene. It's very well played out.
Yeah, honestly.
And then delivers that one-liner.
Full props to the actor who played. I don't have names or anything here, but full props to the actor who played Spoonie because he was my favorite character in that film.
He went whole hog into that.
The bit where he's out in the where he's being the distraction. Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough.
Yeah, it's very. This is the other thing I like about this film. It is exceptionally British.
Oh yes,
it's got that grittiness against it.
British horror movie. It's a British horror movie.
From what I've been told from Violet, who knew a Squaddy a lot better than I've known a Squaddy. This is the type of banter. So if you are a Squaddy, the type of banter that they're having, it's very entertaining to watch, and it seems portrayed very accurately. So it is a very good watch. Would I rewatch it straight away? No, I'm probably going to give it a year or so. It's going to come up at some point. I've rewatched it, but it's a very good film overall.
To be honest, I kind of popped this film on around about Halloween. Not on Halloween, but on the build-up to Halloween, because that's when, I like to watch a lot of my more monster horror movies.
I'm doing the same thing.
And Dog Soldiers is always one I will put on early October because they're up in the Scottish Highlands and it looks rather cold, rainy, horrible. Which in October here in
British weather, it's miserable.
Here in the UK, during the October months, that's kind of what the weather's like 24/7. So watching a film with that weather effect on you, kind of like, I get you. I'm there with you. I sympathize with you. And then when all the shit starts going around, you're like, yeah, blah. And it's a good.
It's a very good film.
Horror. It's more action than it is horror, but the horror moments are there, and they're.
That's another thing I liked about this. It is again, this one settled me in. It's a more action-packed one, and there's a little bit more going on. So there's a bit more to the plot.
Yeah.
And then the horror elements come in, and it's a good balance. It's a very good film.
The special effects in this one are on point. The bit with Sean Pertwee getting his stomach slashed open and his guts hanging, literally like guts hanging out. And I know, you know me, I love my special effects. And the first time I saw that it was one of those. How did they do that?
I'm still trying to work some of that out.
That was so realistic. My brain was like, I need to know how that's done. The effect is just so visceral and so real.
I also like the trivia that he uses as well with the super glue.
Oh yeah, it was invented back in Vietnam too.
They actually use real world ideas.
Yeah. Again, it's just one of those kind of films, and this is why I love Dog Soldiers. Like I said, put it on early October as it's building up to Halloween. You'll have a good time. If you've never, to our viewers, if you've never seen Dog Soldiers, recommendation from both myself and Jimmy, go and check it out.
It's definitely worth It's definitely worth at least one viewing, even if you're going to view it once and then never watch it again. It's definitely worth the time.
And before you go and watch Dog Soldiers, I'd also like to remind you to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, please. But moving on to our next film now. I'm doing these in kind of backwards order of like...
You've screwed my notes.
Time scale, okay? So the next film up, going backwards through the years. Up next, we watched this yesterday and you freaking loved it. From 1994, released on June 17th, a budget of 70 million with a box office of 131 million. So it was a definite box office smasher.
This one's got names in.
Starring
Michelle Pfeiffer and James Spader.
Yes, Jack Nicholson, Michelle Pfeiffer, James Spader, and kind of a few other who's of 90s cinema.
Yeah.
It is, of course, Wolf. Now, this one is a very, very different take on the werewolf mythos. Jack Nicholson's character, I can't remember the name of the character, Will Ryder, I think his name. Will Randall, that was it, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Will Randall. For some reason, every time I watch that film, I think it's Will Ryder, not Will Randall. I don't know why.
Well, he does get a ride on later.
My brain, it's something stuck in my brain. I don't know what it is. But anyway, opening to the film, he's driving through Vermont, I think it says he's in.
Yeah, I think he says that.
He hits a wolf with his car. He goes out, checks the wolf, thinks it's dead. He goes to move it. The wolf springs to life, bites him on the hand, and
runs off into the wilderness.
He gets back in his car, drives off, goes and sees his doctor and thinks everything's fine. But then as the film goes on and things happen around him, he starts to notice that he's sleeping more during the day. He's got heightened sense of smell, hearing, sight, all these things that you'd attribute to a wolf. And then there's the slow burn of a transformation going on. It's not one of these things where it's man, then wolf, then man, then wolf. It's a slow progression. Like, this is a thing you can't stop. Once you turn into a wolf, that's it. No coming back. And the film is so wonderfully done. And a first showing tonight from special effects wizard Rick Baker, the monster maker, in first of 3 appearances tonight from him.
Yeah, he does know his thing.
Oh, yes, but this film, for me, was just absolutely fantastic. So I've seen it before. Jimmy, yesterday was the first time viewing for you. Give us your thoughts on Wolf.
This one got the number 2 slot for me, surprisingly. This one, at the 4 films, just like I say, I will rewatch all of them. This one surprisingly got the number 2 because this one takes on sort of the Wolfman kind of appearance rather than what has become more synonymous with like a proper big, massive, very practical effect. It's a very Wolfman take. It's a very slow burn film. It's a 2-hour film.
One of those mid-90s films where
it's classically mid-90s where they're starting to stretch the runtime.
Well, I think back then in 1994, there wasn't the industry standard was 90 minutes.
Yeah.
But there were one or two films that would push it to the 2 hour mark because there was more story to tell. And honestly, with this film, when you've got the likes of Jack Nicholson, Michelle Pfeiffer, and James Spader all vying for screen time,
Yeah,
it's
you got some big names.
but it has its payoff at the end. When you get
Yes,
to
it
the end
does.
of the film, everything comes together, and it's like, okay, I'm glad I sat and watched this.
I like the fact that this one seems to take a little bit of the mythos and a little bit more of a scientific thing because he's bitten and he's going to the doctor in this one a bit more. There's a couple of scenes with the doctor and he's trying to work out what's going on,
Yeah.
you know, and that was it was a nice take.
I think the scenes with the doctors are the rational mind
Yeah,
side.
yeah, it's that, yeah, again, and
He's
it's
trying to
very,
rationalize what's going on and what's happening.
yeah, yeah, it's like
Doctor,
the
and doctor says,
bitten.
oh, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. And it's like
Yeah,
I think, and like I said to you while we were watching it, I think from an outside perspective, if you were going through that kind of thing, not
yeah.
but thinking that in modern day and age and whatnot and everything, you'd be like, werewolves aren't real. If you're bitten by
Yeah,
a
yeah,
wolf, and then all of a sudden
that's the thing here.
your hearing improves, your eyesight improves, your sense of smell improves. You are going to go to the doctor and be like, look, doc, I'm not saying I'm turning into a fucking wolf, but I've been bitten by a wolf and now all this shit's happening. Can you please explain this to me? Like,
Yeah,
you would want a rational.
I like this one especially because again, it's a slow burn transformation. It's not you're a wolf, then you're a man, then you're a man, then you're a wolf, then you switch
Yeah.
back and forth in, and you're not stuck with the lunar cycle with this one. This one's you've been bitten and you're
It's
progressing.
happening. And once you get
It's slowly happening over time, which makes it
yeah.
more like you wouldn't instantly think I'm a werewolf. You'd go to the doctor, you'd ask and seek for a rational explanation.
Yeah.
And yeah, the bonuses of heightened smell and heightened hearing and better sight, and you get the Jack Nicholson's then receding hairline is coming back.
Goes
You know,
back in,
these
yeah.
are bonuses. Unfortunately, I've got a little bit more of a desire to get for violence and
Yeah.
naturally with this one as well. There's a bit of there's a sexual thing going on. We're out of the 80s and into the more 90s, but it's a more romantic take on it.
Yes.
The ending is very interesting. I will not spoil the ending, but the ending is a little bit of a twist.
The engine.
I need one of those for the car. But no, the ending.
The engine of the movie.
The engine of the movie.
Were we watching the same film? Were you watching Thomas the Tank?
We're on to Lemon Boy Pie. Tangent alert, people.
Yes.
Anyway,
according to Jimmy Lee, films now have engines, everyone. Just so you know.
Well, you've got to have something that drives it.
Oh, fuck me. Right. I'm gonna change your tag name on the screen now to the Punisher.
The Punisher.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, getting back on track.
Wolf.
This one, it's more modern. They're using CGI. There is practical effects from what I can see, but they are using more CGI.
The makeup effects. There was digital effects used for sort of transitional moments.
Yes.
But when he's in the wolf makeup, when any of the actors are in the wolf makeup, it's done in such a way that it's practical effects. You still get the actor's performance coming through that makeup, which is the best kind of makeups.
Yeah, and the funny
that performance coming through.
I think the funny thing we discussed is you said 94 this was out?
94, yes.
So this was 2 years after, and slight minor tangent, but this is 2 years after Terminator 2, which obviously is a well-known film for introducing CGI.
Yes.
And doing well.
1000, yes.
So although this film's CGI is, yes, noticeable and dated, it has aged very, very well because it's the higher end of 90s CGI.
It's subtly done. It's very
subtly done, and it does do what it was supposed to do and still does that. It emphasizes the film and the practical effects over just completely doing what they do these days and rewriting it, with green screen. So it is very well done. And this, like I say, it was a surprisingly good 2-hour film because there's a few more genres in there as well. There's a little bit of detective and a little bit of romance going on. So the film is very, very watchable and very, very good. And she's needing a drink. She's got to have a sip.
Right. Moving it on to our next werewolf film. But Wolf, if you've never seen it, Tony, I'm
Go check it out. Definitely go check that
give it a
one.
watch.
Because Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer are great in anything anyway.
Up next, I don't know which order to do these two because one of them came out in August, one of them came out in March, but they're both the same year.
They are. And there is a little bit, I think.
Right, I'm going to
go
go
with the one I own over the one you own.
Jimmy, I'm going to go with The Howling.
Thank you.
March 13th, 1981. Budget of 1.5 million. Box office take of 17.9 million. Now, bear in mind, these numbers are 1981 numbers. So they might seem low by today's standards, but if you adjust for inflation, these were big hits. These were, hence why The Howling got, I think, like 8 sequels, I think. And they all get progressively worse. The second one isn't too bad, but you really do have to take the second one as it is pure B-movie cheese schlock fest. But it's meant to be. It's leaning into that angle of we know what we are, we're running with it.
Yeah.
Kind of
what. By the way, I've not watched any of the sequels, and I have been told by Violet and the gentleman, because if you can see it, it is behind me. I do have a copy because I had to watch this, and this was the only way of getting it.
Yeah.
So I got a copy. I am keeping the copy. It is good enough of a film that I'm keeping the copy.
Yes.
Well, I've been told to keep away from the sequels and just watch it for that one.
But right, the premise for this one is a news reporter is being stalked by a serial killer. They arrange to meet because she's trying to trap him. He attacks her. There's something odd about the attack. His voice changes and there's lots of strange noises. And then after the attack, she can't remember what happened. She has complete amnesia. So she's invited by this psychologist to go up to a resort called The Colony. And as the film progresses, it turns out werewolves, fucking everywhere.
It's literally a colony.
It is. I mean, it's called The Colony for a fucking reason. This film, for me, it kind of has the unfortunate timing of coming out around about the same time as our next film.
It suffers from another thing from the next.
Yes, the special effects in this film were partially handled by Rick Baker, Monster Maker, making his second appearance. But he actually left this film before it was finished to go and work on another film, which we'll get to in a little bit.
We'll get to that one.
And in some scenes,
especially toward the ending,
you can tell that was not Rick Baker's work. That's all I will say is you can tell he did not work on those effects. Now, does that make the film a bad film? No. It's actually very, very good. It's weird. It gets weird in places.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those films, and our next film did this as well. It doesn't really signify to the audience when it's a dream sequence and when it's a real sequence. So you constantly have to play that guessing game of, is this character dreaming or is this actually happening? Very quickly, when you think, oh, this is actually happening, boom, all of a sudden it's a dream. It's like, oh, you tried to catch me. You know, but overall, for me, very, very good film. Jimmy, your thoughts with it being a first viewing for you in 2025?
It's an interesting take on werewolves because with the previous, well, I say the previous two, Dog Soldiers deals with a pack. Wolf deals with a lone wolf, and this goes back to dealing with a pack because you put it in that sequence for us. So this deals with a pack, and this one deals with a pack. Definitely knows what it's up to, what it's about. and they're definitely trying to hide, but they're trying to survive as well, in a way, from what I can see with the story. They're trying to figure a way of merging with society,
or at least
at least,
staying hidden.
or at least sustain what they know. And there is some division in the ranks. This film is it's a very good film. I mean, the only thing that does let it down is the aforementioned leaving of the special effects artist.
Yeah, yeah, that final shot just
There's a couple of final scenes and final shots that really let this film down. The other thing that lets this film down is, as we've said, it's a product of its time.
yes, there are a few moments in it that make you go, oh, oh,
True 80s.
you could not do that now. You could not do that now.
No, no. I mean, at one point, I weren't sure if I was watching a porno or a documentary.
Yeah, yeah, I forgot about that part in the middle of the movie, and it was very much like
There is a scene where I feel like David Attenborough, and now you see the two lycanthropes.
that's male and the female in their natural environment.
There is a little bit of that
The
80s.
werewolves are quite literally dogging it.
Yes, they have had some dogging. So they do like that particular position. Anyway, moving forward, you do this week. I'm going to be a little bit on fire because I'm going
Right.
to get my shell just a tad.
Anyway,
Anyway,
so yes, moving on.
moving forward,
What did you think of The Howling?
well, I've got it on. Like I said, I've got it on the DVD now,
And you keeping it?
and I have decided to keep this simply
First
because
horror. It's your first horror.
it isn't. I don't know if it's my first horror because I've got Hellraiser in the collection. It is definitely my first werewolf horror.
There you
That
go
it's
then.
watching.
Popped your
That's
werewolf
gonna
cherry.
stay.
You popped your werewolf cherry. You bought The Howling.
So I bought The Howling, and it is a very good film. It's one of the first films that's got a little bit of an older date to it, so it is a product of its time.
Yeah, but
So
for me, The Howling is
good
definitely
film.
it's up there with the great ones. But
Yeah,
for me, there's just little bits that hold it back. There's too much with the serial killer stuff right at the beginning.
yeah.
I feel that the beginning is a little bit too
I think this one feels like it suffers a little bit from like we discussed
pacing.
with
It's the pacing.
the pacing, and two, the comment I had on Dawn of the Dead original and the remake, whereby you went from four characters not enough to too many characters, and you're going to lose a bit of track. And I feel that one suffers from a little bit too many characters.
Especially once they get to the colony and it introduces
Yes,
more new characters. It's like there's a lot of people here.
there's a lot of people and a lot of things going on, and you don't see certain people. You know what I mean? There's hints and things, and you'd like to investigate a bit more with that because
I
there is a
think
detective element to it as well.
I think they did that purposefully though, so that because there's so many people and you think it's just the one werewolf to begin with, you think it's just the one. It's that who's who, like
Yeah,
which one of them's the werewolf, and then you get the big reveal.
it's a colony.
Spoiler alert here, people. When you
Spoiler
get the
alert,
big
it's a
reveal,
colony.
when there's actually more than one werewolf, it's like, oh, now all these scenes all of a sudden make more sense of why there seems to be people getting attacked over here, over here, over here, over here. Like everything now makes sense. It's not one, it's multiples of the fucking
Look,
things.
it's a
So
pack.
I
I
love
also
that.
like, and we've got to mention this. This is probably this is a film. It's probably the first film where I've seen a very young Robert Picardo
Yes.
playing an exceptionally different character from the role I'm used to seeing him in
Yes,
as
Robert
the
Picardo
EMH Doctor.
famously played the werewolf Eddie.
So having at least one name in this film that I know and I grew up with, watching him in a vastly different role, explains a couple of episodes of Voyager to me as to where he got that from.
Right. For me, it was rather funny seeing you sat there on the sofa bouncing up and down because you spotted his name in the credits. That to me was just like,
I know that one. And Carradine. But
yes,
I saw the name. It was Carradine. I didn't realize it was
that
their
was their
dad
dad. Yes, yes.
because I obviously know. I can't remember his first name.
David Carradine
Which one?
played Bill, but Kill Bill. He was in the Kung Fu
Yes.
series. David Carradine.
Yeah. I've seen him in plenty. I grew up with Kung Fu. So
Yes.
watching their dad and now understanding a bit about that,
But like I
that
said,
was
that was much later in his career, and I think it was one of his last films. Not his last, but one of them. He acted right up until the end. God bless him.
yes.
But yes, The Howling is very, very good. It just, like we stated, some of the special effects towards the end, just that final.
They were a little dated and you definitely
It
yeah, no, that last scene.
it looked like a King Charles Spaniel, not a werewolf.
I thought it were more like a Chihuahua.
Yeah,
Oh,
it just was not a good effect. But other than that, the overall
that
story,
one.
the overall character, all the characters in the film all have their moments, and it ends on sequel bait, as all good 80s films fucking do.
And the general premise and the rules regarding the particular lycanthropy this one's under.
Yeah,
That very interesting, very good film.
yes, and they don't need a full moon neither.
No.
That's an interesting twist on this one. They don't
Yeah,
need
that's
to. But right, I suppose that moves us on nicely to our final film. For me, if we're doing picks, this would be the number one pick every time any werewolf movie.
yeah, no,
Wait,
I
my number one pick.
with the
We are
four we've
going
currently
back
got and the
to
ones I've watched previous.
we are going back to August 21st, 1981, at a budget of 5.8 million, and its box office take. Are you ready for these numbers? Bear in mind,
Inflation.
yeah, 5.8 million budget, box office take 62 million.
Yeah.
That's more than triple its budget back. And that was just on its original release. That's not taking into account things like home media, re-releases, all that kind of stuff. Like
And
this
the
is
fact
just
you've got
box office.
inflation because of how old it is now.
Yeah, like this film was a booming success, which for early 1980s, okay, a lot of slasher films were doing great. Friday the 13th, Halloween, that kind of stuff. They were just starting to find their feet, get their traction, get their audience going.
They're
This
using
to
all
me,
monster films.
this to me is not a slasher movie. To me, this is a dark comedic horror film.
No, I go with the dark comedic take on this.
Some of the jokes in it are just so what? You
One
know,
minute you don't know whether you should be laughing, the next minute you don't know whether you should be scared.
but the general premise and setup for this film is David Kessler and his friend are backpacking from the Yorkshire Moors down to Rome.
You don't go on the malls.
Yes, they are. They stop by a pub called the Slaughtered Lamb. They're made to feel very uncomfortable. You have a early role from a very, very young
I
Rick
blink
Mayall.
misses.
Rick Mayall pops up in the background playing chess, and they're forced to leave the pub and told, "Stay off the moors, keep to the road."
Don't go on the malls.
Of course, they fail to follow this advice and are swiftly attacked by something. David's friend is killed. He is scratched and sent to a hospital in London, where he slowly starts to realize he's a werewolf. And his friend Jack visits him from beyond the grave with progressively worse
Yeah.
rot and decay happening to him. God bless his fucking soul. And the film becomes sort of a love story, uh, very gory horror in places, and a little bit comedic. It's kind of a little bit of a mixed bag. This one, it's
The
definitely
mixed
got
bag of this film.
it's got its feet, it's got its furry clawed feet firmly in the horror section, but it's got a bit of comedy, bit of romance, bit of action, bit of suspense. So this film, in terms of special effects, literally created an Oscar for the Academy created an Oscar for makeup effects for this film. That category exists because of this film. That's how fucking good they were. For 1981, again, Rick Baker, who left The Howling to go and work on this film, making his third appearance, as we said, for the night. This one won an Oscar. The Howling did not. Need I say more? Jimmy, you'd never seen this film. You'd heard about it, but you'd never
I've
seen
been kept away from this film for a long time due to my father, and then it's slipping out of my memory and that. And we are, of course, talking about American Werewolf in London, not to be confused with what I now consider a completely unnecessary and complete waste of
why did
time.
they do this.
Why did they do this? American Werewolf in Paris. Right,
Told you, I warned you.
you did warn me, but do you know what? In my attempt of research and not having the availability of American Werewolf in London, I figured, well, let's try American Werewolf in Paris. And I found that film enjoyable to begin with. But after watching this film, bye.
That does not exist.
Right, that should show you some of my thoughts on this. I'll keep with the older original that created an Oscar for itself to win.
It's one of those moments where you want that Men in Black fucking neuralizer thing. Erase
yeah. There are moments where you need that device. I wish I could just erase that one. You know, I don't think I will ever. I've watched Paris twice. I don't think I'll watch it a third.
Do you think this film holds up in 2025?
Oh, fucking hell, yes.
The special effects alone, like they even had you going, how
do they do that? This is a
his hand stretching out. When the hand was stretching out, you were just sat there going,
like,
how?
The best part about it, and I suppose that's the only thing that's useful at this point. The stuff from Paris where they do CGI, it's obviously that's CGI they're stretching out with. How did they do it in the original? They don't have CGI around. They don't even know what that shit is. And
that's why I love this film.
And this one's brilliant. And
everything
honestly,
you see is in camera. Everything you see is actually there on the
actual transformation is great. The film is funny where it's meant to be funny. The scene in the cinema with the conversations amongst his victims and his best friend, who are now dead, is brilliant. That's brilliant. Can you hold on? I know he's a werewolf and he fucking killed you. I know you've got a different take on my friend here. You know, that level of kind of conversation. Like, I know you've got a different take on
they're discussing all the different ways he could off himself. They're doing it eerily.
To make a serious subject. Right? I mean, George Carlin's the only other person I've ever seen do that, and he's a comedy genius. Late great George Carlin. Somewhere out there right now, there's a guy ready to off himself. There he goes, right? Literally, and they're discussing methods by which this guy can kill himself, and he's taking them serious because he doesn't want to be a werewolf. It's not like he's like, you can understand both sides. He doesn't want to be going around, you know, chewing on Granny's leg next week, right? Because the lunar cycle matches up. But at the same time, so that scene alone is brilliant.
Yeah, the whole film from start to finish is
brilliant.
It's enjoyable. Like you said, it's funny where it's meant to be funny. It's scary where it's meant to be scary. And the bits where it's supposed to kind of gross you out with like the gore, it delivers. It delivers. And like you said, that transformation,
even the romantic stuff,
it works. It works.
It works. It's perfectly in tune with every scene's in tune with what it's supposed to be.
Exactly. And that's why for me, no matter what werewolf films are being discussed, for my number one pick will always be this film. And it's that transformation sequence in the middle. Like, you only see it once in full, but my fucking God, did they commit
Yeah.
to making that
I
effect
mean,
in 1981 as believable and as realistic as they possibly could. And a lot of it is old school cinema techniques that
yeah. I
unfortunately
mean,
have been thrown to the
that's
wayside by
the
CGI.
that's the thing that's why The Howling fell into third place on the film list, and I own that one, and I want to own this one because you can really tell when the special effects guy decided to exit from The Howling and go to this one. And in The Howling, the transformation scenes in that are great, they're good, but they don't come across as how it's supposed. I mean, you're literally turning a human body from what it's meant to be to this wolf. It doesn't come across as painful or whatever. It's like they're practiced at it. In that one, you could say this is hurting.
Yeah.
It's no wonder why the thing wants to go out and
And
rip
that's a
things
credit to the
apart.
actor. That is a credit to the actor. I
Yeah,
can't remember the actor's name, unfortunately, but that is credit to the actor. Like, you, like, just the minute he starts screaming in pain out of nowhere as well. As soon as the moon's up, he's
like it's out of nowhere.
like he's instantly in a fuck ton of
Yeah,
pain. Like, that comes out of fucking nowhere. He sat there reading a book, and the next thing you know, he's screaming. It's like,
it's on the floor and everything, and it's screaming. It's like, what's going on here? And then you start seeing the scene unfold, and without spoiling, it
it's
just
very anatomical. It's
and
very
you're
anatomical.
kind of going through it with him because you're like, oh, ow, ah, and the practical effects in 2025 still hold up to this day.
I think they're
There's a
better.
reason why it
I
won the
honestly
Oscar.
think they're
The
better.
reason why it created the Oscar.
I honestly think they're better. I think if anyone was going to remake this film, they should
But the
say,
hard
right,
press,
okay, we're going to use practical effects and just touch it up with CG. Just
yeah, I mean that's the only way you
fade
can
out some lines, fade out some
yeah,
scene lines, do touch up work. Don't CGI over it. Just use CGI to erase a few
touch it
things.
up. That's yeah. I mean, but then remaking this film as well would be it'd
Well,
just be
there's
very good.
there's a rumored remake. It's been rumored for a few years now, and apparently Max Landis, the son of John Landis, the director of the original, is at the helm of it. So you'd like to think that it's in good hands. You know, it's kept within the family. So you'd like to think if he's going to do it, he'll do
Yeah,
it right.
yeah.
But how many times have we gone, oh, this remake looks like it's going to be good, and then we've watched it and gone, why?
Why? Why can I not have the hours back of this
Yeah.
watching?
So
Yeah.
I'm not super like oh about that one right now. Until we know more about it, I'm just going to be quietly over here going, please be good, please be good, please be good. If there is a remake, if it never materializes, if a remake never happens, do you know what? That's fine. This one, like you
Yeah, no,
said,
it'll be
stands
fine for me. I mean, getting it off the watch list after all this time, it was a delight, to be honest. Because, like I said, my dad kept me away. Oh, your father, and do I want to watch this? Yeah, you can have that. Watch it. Yeah, my dad was the opposite. He was, can I watch? No. Can I watch this 18? No. So this is why I've missed out on quite a few films because as an adult, you don't get time with the jobs and things that you get when you were a kid, and you could have watched it, but you've got a dad who says no.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, that is it. That is our top four picks
That's the top four.
for
Slip
werewolf
the honorable
movies.
mention in.
Pardon?
Do we slip the honorable mention?
I was just getting to that. We are going to do
Okay, I'll shut up.
one honorable mention because I recommended this one to Jimmy last night. I was like, if there's one more film you want to check out, I recommend this one because I like this one myself. And it is Ginger Snaps. I don't have dates for that one, unfortunately, or budgets or anything. It was brought to my, I was told he watched it right before I started filming. Didn't know he'd watched it. So,
I've managed to do what you told me to.
but
I
Ginger
was a good boy.
Snaps, because this one's an honorable mention, and we're not going to go too deep on it. It stars Catherine Isabel. She gets bitten by a werewolf. Well, they're not sure if it's a werewolf. She gets bitten by something.
Something.
and then slowly, progressively turns into a werewolf throughout the film. And it's used as an analogy for like coming of age and your body changing and all those kind of things. So it kind of mixes like slight teen drama with extreme horror werewolf movie. It's kind of Dawson's Creek meets The Wolfman, but with goth girls. It's an interesting film. I like
Interesting.
it. I like it. I like it for what it is. But then again, I'm a Catherine Isabel fan. I've liked a lot of her films. One of my favorites of hers is American Mary. And no, I'm not going to
She's
introduce.
a dream queen from what I read upon her.
I'm not introducing you to American Mary because I don't think you're there yet, Jimmy.
Okay, we'll get there.
I'll explain that one to you off camera. But
Okay,
anyway, so you watched this last night. What did you think of it?
watched this last night. It was a good film. It fell at the bottom of the pack, unfortunately, because, like I say, I think American Werewolf. And this is why it's an honourable mention. I think because of American Werewolf in London, not Paris.
You're a little bit spoiled on werewolves now, aren't you?
A little bit, yeah, and I do like my werewolves, but you do know that next week we're talking about my more favourite sort of
Yes. Hanging with the
format.
bang gang.
Hanging with the Bang Gang, yeah, I do like them. Werewolves though were like a second best to them. You can't have a good one of the others without that on occasion, but you can apparently. More on that next week.
Yes, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. No, this film was it's a good film. It's a good modern film. It's a very interesting take on the outcast if you're a teen as well. And then getting an even bigger reason why you're an outcast.
You become a werewolf.
You grow a tail.
You grow a tail that you have to strap down to your leg, which I know.
Yeah.
The struggle on that one.
Yeah. The tail. Do you know what? The tail in this, I like that feature. Because that isn't no, that
Having to hide a tail.
I mean, that's the only one that like the special effects in this are good.
Yes,
Very good. It's a more modern film. There are clearly some CGI elements, but there's a heavy amount of use of practical. And
again, another reason why I love it.
It's a good reason for using it. There's a couple of things that would detract. I mean, the walking around with the fangs. Surely somebody would notice the fangs.
You'd think so. And the weird thing that goes on with her nostrils and her ears, you'd think someone would start to notice that you don't look like you used to. But as I often say about a lot of horror movies, is there are certain things that you just have to suspend disbelief there for a moment.
It's a slow, it's runtime as well. It's a slow burn, but then when you get to the last part of the film,
it ramps.
Yeah, it does come. It just starts coming out of nowhere. It's quite clear and quite obvious at that point. And there are some very enjoyable scenes. And despite being a modern film, it does use some of the 80s tropes. Let's get the old. So
yes. But there we go then. So that is our Werewolfy episode all wrapped up in a nice little torturous bow.
Luckily, we're not on a full moon.
So, Jimmy, would you like to tell the wonderful audience what we're covering next week?
Well, next week we're going to be taking a rather nice bite into the necks and veins with vampires.
Yes, we are talking vampire movies. So, in the comments section, if you have any recommendations for vampire movies, we have our list already. But if there's any recommendations that you think we should maybe mention, drop them in the comments. We'll talk about them next week. So, time to say goodnight, Jimmy.
Good night, Jimmy.
I knew you. But good night, my sweet tortured souls. And remember, if you can't be good, be twisted. Don't get mad, baby. Get sadistic. Bye. See you in the next one.